Listen to me carefully. There's a reason your life feels under attack sometimes, and it's not always the people you see or the circumstances you face. Too many of us are trying to solve spiritual problems with physical solutions. We think if we just hustle harder, if we just get the right connection, if we just move to a different city, everything's gonna change. And yes, hard work matters, connections matter, location can help, but you can't run from what's happening in the unseen realm. You can't negotiate with it. You have to fight it on the level where it exists, because the battle you're in. It's spiritual, it's not just situational, and until you see that, you're swinging at shadows. You're wearing yourself out trying to fix symptoms instead of attacking the source. Some of you are wondering why the same patterns keep showing up in your life. Different jobs, same drama. Different relationship, same heartbreak. Different year, same anxiety. It's because you're treating what's spiritual like it's merely circumstantial. You're dealing with surface-level issues, but the root is deeper. The enemy doesn't care about just stealing your money or your time or your relationships. What he wants is your mind, your faith, your belief in who you are and who God says you can be, because if he can attack that, he knows everything else will collapse. That's why you can't just fight on a human level. You have to recognize the spiritual war behind the natural chaos. See, there's a truth I've learned. Not every delay is random. Not every betrayal is accidental. Not every obstacle is coincidence. There's a strategy in how darkness tries to work against you. It's subtle, it's sneaky, it comes in whispers of fear. It comes in moments of exhaustion. It comes in the temptation to settle for less than you deserve. It wants you to question if you're loved, if you're protected, if you're chosen. And if it can get you doubting your purpose, it can get you living beneath your potential. That's why you've got to see it for what it is. You've got to know that the battle is spiritual, not just situational. So when your plans fall through, don't just look at who betrayed you. Ask yourself what's trying to discourage you spiritually. When you feel paralyzed with fear, don't just look at the bill collectors or the doctor's report. Ask yourself what's trying to rob your peace. When conflict erupts in places that should be safe, don't just blame people, ask what's trying to sow division in your life. Because as long as you keep pointing your finger at flesh and blood, you're missing the real enemy. I'm telling you this because I've lived it. There have been seasons in my life where I thought the problem was the job, or the neighborhood, or the friends who walked away. And yes, sometimes you do need to leave toxic places or people. But the deeper truth was that there was a spiritual agenda trying to derail my destiny. There were forces that wanted me to be so tired, so broken, so bitter, that I'd give up on the very thing I was born to do. And if I'd kept fighting it in my own strength, I'd have lost. But the moment I recognized this was spiritual, everything changed. I learned how to pray differently, how to speak differently, how to stand my ground and declare that I will not be destroyed, that my purpose will not be stolen, that no weapon formed against me will prosper, and that's what I want for you. To stop seeing yourself as someone who's just unlucky or cursed or doomed to repeat the same cycles. I want you to know you're a warrior in a spiritual battle, and warriors fight differently. Warriors don't just complain, they command. Warriors don't just panic, they pray. Warriors don't just accept defeat, they resist it with everything in them. But you can only do that if you know what you're really fighting, because here's the thing, what's coming against you is counting on your ignorance. It's counting on you being so distracted by what's visible that you miss what's invisible. It's counting on you blaming people instead of rebuking principalities. It's counting on you thinking it's just a bad season instead of realizing it's spiritual warfare. But once you know, you can't be manipulated the same way anymore. Once you know, you start fighting with the right weapons. You start covering your life in prayer. You start declaring protection over your family, your mind, your future. You start calling out the darkness and telling it to go. You start recognizing that greater is He that is in you than he that is in the world. So don't you dare think you're powerless. Don't you dare think it's all just random chaos. There's a reason you're under attack, and there's a reason you're still standing. Because you're meant to win this, but you've got to see it for what it is. You've got to understand the battle is spiritual, not just situational. And once you know that, you'll never fight the same way again. Let me tell you something you might not have heard enough in your life. You are not a victim. You're not just somebody drifting through life, hoping the storms don't get too strong. You're not some fragile soul waiting to see what life throws at you next. No, you're a weapon. You were created with power, with purpose, and with authority. But see, the problem is too many of us have been convinced that we're supposed to stay quiet, stay small, stay afraid. We've been told to keep our heads down, to just deal with it. To accept that life is going to run us over sometimes and there's nothing we can do about it. That's a lie, that's a trap, and it's time you rise up and remember who you are. Because the truth is, when you know who you are, you move different. You walk different, you speak different, you stop letting fear call the shots, you stop letting circumstances dictate your joy. You stop shrinking back when things get hard. People will wonder why you're so calm in the middle of chaos. Why you're still praising, still believing, still fighting when everything around you looks impossible. It's because you've tapped into a deeper reality, that you're not fighting for victory, you're fighting from victory. You've already been equipped, you've already been authorized, you've already been chosen. See, you don't have to ask for permission to stand in your authority. You don't have to wait for someone else to validate you. You don't have to beg for the right to defend your peace, your purpose, your future. You've been given the right. You've been given the authority to speak life, to cancel every evil assignment, to shut the door on fear and anxiety and confusion. And the enemy knows that if you ever realize how powerful you really are, his plans won't stand a chance. But here's why so many people stay stuck. They see themselves as victims. They believe the worst moments in their past define them forever. They believe that because they've been hurt, betrayed, or rejected, they'll never fully recover. They let shame or guilt keep them quiet. They believe that life just happens to them and they have no say in the matter. But I'm here to tell you, you have a say. You have a voice, and when you use it, darkness has to back up. When you use it, chains start breaking. When you use it, every plot against you starts falling apart. You're not powerless, you're not weak. You're not some accidental casualty in the middle of a war you can't win. You are a weapon, you are a force. And you've got authority flowing through your veins whether you feel it in the moment or not. People will try to tell you that being humble means being silent. That being spiritual means letting people walk all over you. That forgiveness means tolerating abuse. No, it does not. Humility is not weakness. Spirituality is not passivity. You can love your enemies and still draw boundaries. You can forgive people and still refuse to let them drain the life out of you. Standing in your authority doesn't mean you're arrogant. It means you know who's backing you up. It means you know you don't have to tolerate chaos in your mind, or curses over your family, or cycles of brokenness repeating year after year. You're not destined to stay stuck. You're destined to stand, and I get it. It's not always easy to believe you're powerful when life keeps hitting you in the same spot over and over. Some of you feel worn out from the battle. You've been crying silent tears at night. You've been wondering if maybe you're just supposed to accept defeat. But hear me when I say, the fact that you're still here proves that you're stronger than you think. The fact that you're still fighting, still searching for hope, means there's a warrior in you that refuses to die. You don't keep getting up by accident. You keep getting up because you were created to conquer. When you stand in your authority, you start talking differently. You stop saying I can't and start saying I will. You stop saying I'm afraid and start saying I'm covered. You stop saying it's over for me and start saying my best is still ahead. You don't deny reality. You just refuse to let reality have the final word. You look your enemies, your problems, your fears dead in the eye, and you say, you picked the wrong person to mess with. Because what's inside of you is greater than what's coming against you. The power that's in you is not intimidated by what's around you. You've been given authority to trample over every plan that tries to steal your peace, your joy, your destiny. And the day you start believing that is the day hell trembles every time you wake up. You are not a victim. You are a weapon, and the world better get ready, because when you stand in that truth, there's nothing that can stop you. Let me tell you something that could change the whole trajectory of your life if you really let it sink in. Your words are not cheap. Your words are not empty. Your words are not just sounds in the air. Your words are warfare. What you speak over your life either builds walls of protection or swings doors wide open for destruction. Some people think speaking life is just a nice motivational phrase, something you say to feel good for a few seconds. No, speaking life is how you shift the entire atmosphere around you. It's how you cancel assignments sent to destroy you before they ever get off the ground. It's how you remind yourself and every enemy listening that you know who you are and you know whose you are. Some of you have been living under words spoken over you years ago, words that told you you'd never be good enough, never be loved, never succeed. Words that labeled you a failure, a mistake, worthless, and you might not even realize it, but those words have been echoing in your mind, shaping how you see yourself, how you move, how you dream. But I'm here to tell you, you have the power to break every single one of those curses with the words that come out of your own mouth. You don't have to keep repeating what was said about you. You can start declaring something new, because when you speak life, you release power. When you speak protection, you build a fortress around your spirit. When you open your mouth with faith, heaven listens. And so does hell. I've learned that silence is not always golden. Sometimes silence is surrender. There are moments when you can't afford to stay quiet. When darkness is pressing in, you don't just sit there and hope it goes away. You open your mouth and speak against it. You say, no weapon formed against me shall prosper. You say, I am the head and not the tail. You say, I am covered, I am chosen, I am protected. You speak it even if your voice shakes. Even if the circumstances look the opposite, because your words are not dependent on what you see, your words are anchored in what you believe. Some people think prayer is just whispering requests into the sky, but let me tell you, real prayer is a weapon. Real prayer is when you stand in your room and start declaring, I bind every spirit of confusion trying to invade my mind. Real prayer is when you speak blessings over your children, your spouse, your future, and you mean it with every fiber of your being. Real prayer is when you tell sickness it has to go, when you tell fear it has no authority here, when you tell depression it's not welcome in your house. You've got to understand that your words are not weak, they're not insignificant, they carry weight in the spiritual realm. Sometimes the enemy doesn't even need to attack you directly. All he has to do is convince you to attack yourself with your own words. To keep saying, I'm so stupid, nothing ever works out for me, I'm cursed, I'll never change, and every time you say it, you're building a cage around yourself. You're locking the doors with your own keys, but the moment you start speaking life, you break those locks. You start saying, I am more than enough. I am equipped for this battle. My past does not define my future. And chains start falling off. Doors start opening. The atmosphere starts shifting. You've got to get in the habit of prophesying over your own life. Stop waiting for somebody else to come encourage you. Encourage yourself, look in the mirror and remind yourself who you are. Speak blessings over your body, your finances, your mind, your emotions. Cover your house in words of protection. Declare that no evil plan will succeed against you. Declare that every place your feet tread belongs to you. Declare that what God has promised you is coming to pass. You don't have to be loud. You don't have to be fancy with your words. You just have to believe what you're saying, because the power isn't in how eloquent you sound. It's in the authority you carry. I've seen too many people live beneath their potential because they keep their mouths shut when they should be speaking. Or worse, they speak death over their own destiny. They rehearse the worst-case scenarios over and over until they start to believe them. Don't let that be you. You're too powerful for that. You're too important to the purpose you're called to fulfill. You've got to guard your tongue like your life depends on it, because sometimes it does. There's a reason the enemy wants to keep you silent. He knows that if you ever start speaking life, his grip loosens, his plans crumble. Because your words don't just stay in the air, they travel into the spiritual realm and start working on your behalf. Angels move at the sound of your declarations. Strongholds break, chains fall, darkness flees, because your words are not just words. Your words are warfare, so open your mouth, speak life, speak protection, and watch the atmosphere bow to the power of your voice. Let me tell you something that a lot of people don't want to hear, but it will save your life if you receive it. There's protection in obedience. I know we live in a world that says do whatever feels good, follow your impulses, answer to nobody. But freedom without alignment is chaos. Power without obedience is dangerous. You can have all the gifts in the world, but if you're out of alignment, you're exposed. You're vulnerable to attacks you were never meant to face. Staying aligned isn't about following rules for the sake of rules. It's about staying under the covering that was designed to keep you safe from what's trying to destroy you. Sometimes people think God is trying to restrict them when he gives them instructions. They think he's trying to hold them back from fun, from opportunities, from success. But what they don't realize is that the very boundaries they resent are the walls that keep the enemy out. When you're aligned, you're covered. When you're aligned, you're protected from traps you can't even see. When you're aligned, you're guarded from relationships that look good on the surface but are toxic underneath. Obedience is not about control. It's about protection. It's about wisdom. It's about living in a place where blessings can find you and curses can't touch you. Some of you have been wondering why certain things keep going wrong in your life, why the same chaos keeps repeating, why doors keep slamming shut. And sometimes it's not the enemy attacking you. It's you stepping outside the covering that was meant to shield you. It's not that God doesn't love you. It's that you keep walking out from under the umbrella, and then you wonder why you're getting soaked in storms. Staying aligned means listening when you feel that tug in your spirit that says, don't go there, don't answer that call, don't compromise your values just to keep people happy. Because every time you ignore that voice, you move a little further away from the shelter that was designed for you. Obedience is often quiet. It's not flashy. It's not always celebrated. Sometimes it feels lonely. It means saying no when everybody else is saying yes. It means walking away from deals that look profitable but will cost you your peace. It means refusing to lower your standards just to fit in. People might call you crazy. They might say you're too rigid, but let me tell you, the peace that comes from knowing you're aligned with your purpose is worth every sacrifice. The protection that surrounds you when you're obedient is worth every opportunity you had to walk away from. I've seen it in my own life. Times when I wanted to take shortcuts, times when I wanted to go my own way, times when I thought I knew better. And every time, the moment I stepped out of alignment, chaos came knocking, stress I couldn't explain. Doors that slammed shut, relationships that turned sour, but the moment I humbled myself and got back into alignment, things began to flow again. It wasn't always instant, but there was a shift. Battles started getting won behind the scenes. Things started working out in ways I never could have orchestrated on my own. Because alignment doesn't just protect you, it positions you for favor. Some of you are carrying a call on your life that's bigger than you. You've got gifts, you've got influence, you've got people watching you, depending on you. And the enemy knows he can't stop what's on your life if you stay aligned. So his strategy is simple: lure you out of obedience, tempt you with shortcuts, entice you with distractions. Make compromise look harmless, because he knows once you're out of alignment, you're easier to attack. That's why you've got to stay vigilant. You've got to protect your peace, protect your boundaries, protect your purpose. You've got to keep your spirit sensitive enough to hear that quiet voice that says, not this way, and not this time, and not with them. Obedience might feel like sacrifice in the moment, but it's saving you from so much more down the road. It's saving you from heartbreak, from wasted years, from financial disasters, from battles you were never supposed to fight. When you stay aligned, there's a covering over you that no evil plan can penetrate. The enemy might form weapons, but they won't prosper. Attacks might come, but they'll bounce off the shield around your life, because you're not just moving on your own anymore. You're moving under divine protection. I need you to understand that alignment is not about perfection. It's about direction. It's about humility. It's about waking up every day and saying, lead me, guide me, keep me where I'm supposed to be. And when you live like that, you start to walk with a confidence that's unshakable. You start to stand taller because you know you're not exposed, you're not alone, you're covered. And there's no safer place to be than inside the will of the one who knows your end from your beginning. Stay aligned and watch how every plan formed against you falls apart before it ever reaches your door. So hear me, and hear me well. You were never created to live your life hiding from the shadows, waiting for the next attack, wondering if you'll survive what's coming against you. You were born with authority. You were designed to stand tall, eyes forward, spirit unshaken. The battle you're facing is spiritual, but you're not defenseless. You're a weapon forged for this fight. Your words carry the power to break chains, to build walls of protection, to cancel every evil plan that's ever been whispered against your name. And there's a covering that surrounds you when you choose obedience, when you stay aligned, when you walk in purpose and truth. So I'm telling you right now, lift your head, square your shoulders, open your mouth and speak life over yourself. Remind every force coming against you that you're not a victim, you're a victor, that no weapon formed against you will prosper, that you're covered, chosen, and protected. You're stepping into a new season where evil plans fall powerless at your feet. You're moving forward with the fire of someone who knows who they are and who's backing them up. Because there's nothing that can stop a person who understands that the battle is spiritual, who stands in their authority, who speaks life with conviction, and who stays covered in obedience. And I promise you this, every evil plan against your life is canceled, not because of your strength alone, but because of the one who fights for you. So, walk like it, talk like it, live like it. The victory is yours.